My dear friends, sometimes life gives us a pause, a moment where we look at ourselves in the mirror and ask, where am I going? And the mirror doesn't answer, it just reflects. But today, I want you to know your mirror is not showing who you were, it's showing who you can become. Your new life starts here, right now, in this moment. Change begins within. These three words sound simple, but they hold the secret to every transformation, every success story, every fulfilled life. Most of us spend years trying to change the people around us, our family, our friends, our boss, even our circumstances. And when they don't change, we get frustrated. We say things like, if only they understood me, or if only my environment was better, I would do great things. But the truth is, life doesn't change when your surroundings change. Life changes when you change. Think about it. When you look at a mirror and see a frown, you don't try to change the reflection, you change your own expression. The mirror simply reflects who you are. In the same way, the world outside is nothing but a reflection of the world inside you. When your thoughts are peaceful, your world feels calm. When your heart is grateful, your world feels abundant. And when your mind is filled with negativity, no amount of external comfort can make you happy. Everything begins from within. That is where true transformation takes root. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Imagine you're driving to work and someone cuts you off in traffic. Immediately, anger rises, you honk, maybe shout, and your whole mood is ruined. You blame the other person for your bad day, but in truth, the other person only pressed your internal button. They didn't create the anger. It was already there waiting inside. Now, if you decide that no matter what happens, you will remain calm, that no external action will control your peace, your inner world begins to change. The same situation might happen tomorrow, but this time you smile and say to yourself, maybe he's rushing for something important. Your outer world hasn't changed. The traffic is still bad, but your experience has changed completely. Why? Because you changed. We all want happiness, but we keep looking for it outside, in money, in success, in approval, in relationships. We think that when the world gives us something, we'll finally feel good. But have you noticed how temporary that happiness is? You buy a new phone, you're excited for a week, then you want the next model, you get praise at work, you feel proud for a moment, then you crave more. External happiness always fades. Real joy comes from a place deep inside, from contentment, gratitude, and purpose. If you want to change your life, stop trying to manipulate your circumstances and start cultivating your inner state. Work on your mindset every day the way you would work out your body in a gym. Exercise patience. Lift the weight of discipline. Stretch your heart through forgiveness. And feed your mind with positivity. When your inner fitness improves, your outer life will naturally align. There's a beautiful saying, you don't see things as they are, you see things as you are. When you're peaceful inside, everything around you looks brighter. The same home feels warmer. The same people feel kinder. And the same job feels more meaningful. But when you're restless within, even the best circumstances feel empty. So if you want to live a new life, don't wait for your environment to become perfect. Create peace inside yourself first, and you'll start noticing how the world reflects that peace back to you? Think of a gardener. He doesn't complain that the garden looks dull. He starts nurturing the soil, watering the plants, and pulling out the weeds. Slowly, the garden blossoms. Similarly, your mind is your inner garden. If you plant seeds of positivity, patience, and gratitude, your outer life will bloom with beauty. But if you let weeds of doubt, anger, and fear grow, even the most beautiful opportunities will look like problems. The gardener knows the beauty of the garden doesn't depend on the weather, it depends on how well he tends the soil. So tend to your inner world with care. Let's take another example. Two people lose their jobs on the same day. One person breaks down, feels defeated, and blames everyone: the boss, the economy, the government. The other person takes a deep breath and says, maybe this is life's way of pushing me towards something better. Both people faced the same event, but their inner response created two different realities. One drowned in despair, the other discovered a new beginning. Change begins within, not when life gives you easier circumstances, but when you develop a stronger mindset. Even in relationships, this principle is powerful. We often think, if my partner changes, we'll be happy. But what if you change first? Not out of weakness, but out of awareness. When you replace irritation with understanding, complaints with compassion, and expectations with gratitude, you'll notice the energy around you shifting. The other person may or may not change immediately, but your peace will not depend on them anymore. You become emotionally free. That's the beauty of inner change. It gives you control over your peace. Every morning, remind yourself, I can't control what others do, but I can control how I respond. That single decision can transform your entire day. When you focus inward, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the creator of your experience. People often ask, how do I start changing within? The answer is, start small. Wake up a little earlier and sit in silence. Observe your thoughts without judging them. Whenever negativity arises, gently replace it with gratitude. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Say, what can I learn from this? These small internal shifts create a massive difference over time. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. A seed doesn't become a tree in a day. But every day that you nurture your inner world, your outer world begins to align. The peace you create within becomes your protection against chaos outside. So the next time life feels heavy, don't ask, why is this happening? Instead, ask, what is this teaching me? Don't wait for others to act differently. Choose to act differently yourself. Because when you change the way you see things, the things you see begin to change. Remember, your inner world is the cause and your outer world is the effect. If you fix the cause, the effect will automatically improve. The greatest power you will ever hold is not in changing others, but in transforming yourself. And once you begin that inner work, the world around you will start reflecting the beauty, peace, and happiness you have cultivated inside. Change doesn't begin with a new year, a new place, or a new person. Change begins with a new mindset. And that mindset begins within you. Start where you are. These words carry an extraordinary power if you truly understand them. So many of us delay our growth because we are waiting for the right time, the perfect opportunity, or the ideal situation. We believe that once everything falls into place, we will begin, but my dear friend, life rarely gives us a perfectly aligned moment. The truth is, there is no perfect time, there is only as no. If you wait for the right time to start, you might end up waiting your entire life. Think about it. Every great journey in history began with a single, simple step taken by someone who didn't have all the answers. The most successful people weren't those who waited for conditions to be perfect. They were those who dared to start despite imperfection. They took action while others were still thinking about it. And that's what separates dreamers from doers. In your daily life, how often do you hear people say, "I'll start going to the gym when work slows down," or "I'll start that business once I save enough money," or "I'll work on my passion after I retire"? The problem is, life doesn't slow down, it doesn't wait. The perfect moment never arrives. You have to create it by taking action where you are, with what you have, and who you are right now. Imagine a farmer who keeps waiting for the weather to be perfect before planting his seeds. He looks at the sky, complains about the clouds, and waits another day. But the one who goes out, plants the seeds, and works with whatever conditions he has, that's the farmer who will see the harvest. The first farmer waits for perfection. The second one works with reality, and life rewards those who work with reality. So if you have a dream, a goal, or even a small wish to improve yourself, don't wait for everything to line up. Don't wait until you feel completely ready, because readiness doesn't come before you start, it comes because you start. When you take the first step, confidence grows. When you move, clarity appears. The fog doesn't lift until you walk through it. Let me share a simple example. A young woman once told me, "I want to start a small bakery, but I don't have enough money or experience." I told her, "Start where you are. Maybe you can begin by baking from your home, selling to your friends, and using what you already have." She did exactly that. Her kitchen became her bakery, her phone became her marketing tool, and her friends became her first customers. Slowly, she improved, learned, and grew. Today, she runs a successful business. Her dream didn't start when everything was ready. It started when she was ready to take the first step. This is the beauty of starting where you are. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to begin. Every master was once a beginner who took that small, uncertain first step. If you talk to any musician, writer, or athlete, they'll tell you they didn't start perfectly. Their first attempt wasn't great, but they started anyway. Because perfection is not the starting point, it's the destination. Life is like a staircase. You can't reach the top by staring at it. You have to take one step at a time. Sometimes you'll stumble. Sometimes you'll pause to catch your breath. But as long as you keep climbing, you're moving closer to your goal. So, stop overthinking. Don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Just take the next small step from where you are. We often underestimate the power of small beginnings. We think we need to do something big to make progress. But greatness is built on small, consistent actions. A writer finishes a book by writing one page at a time. A runner finishes a marathon by taking one step after another. A business grows by serving one customer at a time. You don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to take the first step. Think of how nature teaches us this. A river doesn't wait for a smooth path before it starts flowing. It begins as a tiny stream, finding its way around rocks and obstacles, slowly carving its path through the earth. Over time, that stream becomes a mighty river. It doesn't complain about the terrain, it simply flows. You too must flow, move forward with what you have. Life's obstacles are not meant to stop you, they are meant to shape you. Many people don't start because they are comparing their beginning with someone else's middle. They see others already successful and feel discouraged. But remember, everyone started somewhere. The person you admire once struggled like you do now. They didn't have all the answers either. What they had was the courage to start where they were. Comparison only steals your energy. Focus instead on your journey. Even in personal growth, this idea is powerful. If you want to be calmer, kinder, or more disciplined, don't wait until circumstances are peaceful. Begin now in your messy, noisy, imperfect world. If you want to meditate, don't wait for a perfect, silent environment. Start with 5 minutes of quiet in your room. If you want to be more grateful, don't wait for everything to go right. Start by appreciating one small thing today. You see, your current situation is not a limitation, it's a foundation. The tools you have now, the knowledge you possess, the experiences you've gained, they are enough to take you one step forward. Life doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for progress. And progress begins when you start where you are. Maybe you're going through a tough time. Maybe things are not ideal right now. That's okay. Don't let difficulty discourage you. Sometimes the most beautiful flowers bloom in the harshest soil. Starting where you are means using whatever is available. Even pain, even failure, even fear, and turning it into fuel for your journey. The day you stop waiting for ideal conditions and start taking small actions, your life begins to shift. You may not see big results immediately, but every small step matters. Every effort compounds. And one day when you look back, you'll realize how far you've come. All because you had the courage to begin right where you were. So today, make a promise to yourself. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. Use what you have. Begin with what you know and start where you are, because the best time to begin your new life was yesterday and the next best time is now. Decide, don't delay. These words may sound simple, but they hold the power to completely transform your life. So many dreams are buried not because people lacked talent, not because opportunities never came, but because they kept delaying the decision to begin. We often stand at the crossroads of our life, thinking, analyzing, and overthinking until the moment passes and the chance slips away. We keep waiting for that perfect clarity, that perfect sign, that perfect confidence, and while we wait, life quietly moves on. In reality, life rewards those who decide, not those who delay. Every great journey begins with one courageous decision, the decision to start, the decision to say, yes, I'm ready. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to decide, because once you make a decision, the universe begins to align things in your favor. But as long as you hesitate, you remain stuck between your past and your potential, and nothing moves in that space. Think of your own life for a moment. How many times have you said, I'll start next week, or I'll do it when I feel more confident. Maybe you wanted to change a habit, start a business, pursue a passion, or apologize to someone. But fear whispered, what if it doesn't work out? So you delayed. And that delay turned into weeks, months, and sometimes years. The sad truth is, someday is not a real day on the calendar. There is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but not someday. Every moment you delay, your fear grows stronger and your self-belief weakens. But every time you decide, even if the step is small, you take back control of your life. Decision gives direction, and direction gives purpose. Without decision, we live like a ship without a rudder, floating, drifting, and wondering why we never reach anywhere meaningful. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a swimming pool, wanting to swim but afraid of the cold water. They dip a toe in, pull it back, think about it, walk around the pool, and complain that the water looks freezing. Meanwhile, another person just jumps in. Within seconds, the fear is gone, and they're already enjoying the swim. The difference is not skill or preparation, it's our decision. The longer you wait to jump, the stronger your hesitation becomes. But the moment you decide, courage replaces fear. In life, decision is the bridge between intention and action. Everyone intends to do something, to be healthier, to be kinder, to chase their dreams, but few actually cross that bridge. The ones who do don't necessarily know the entire path. They just trust that each step will reveal the next. Decision ignites motion, and motion brings clarity. You can't steer a parked car, but once it's moving, you can change direction anytime. In the same way, once you decide to move forward, you can always adjust your path along the way. Think about Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb because he knew exactly how to make it. He simply decided that he would, no matter how many failures it took. Thousands of failed attempts didn't stop him because his decision was stronger than his doubt. That's the power of deciding. It turns uncertainty into progress. In our everyday lives, we often underestimate how powerful even a small decision can be. Deciding to wake up early, deciding to forgive, deciding to let go of a grudge, deciding to say no to negativity. These choices seem small, but create massive shifts in our lives. Every decision you make either brings you closer to the life you want, or keeps you trapped in the one you wish to escape. Many people don't decide because they fear making the wrong choice. But remember, indecision is itself a decision, the decision to remain stuck. You might make mistakes along the way, yes, but mistakes are better than regrets. You can learn from a wrong decision, but you can't grow from a decision you never made. Life doesn't require you to be perfect, it requires you to be decisive. Imagine a young artist who dreams of painting but keeps delaying because she feels she's not good enough yet. Every day, she says, I'll start when I learn more. Years pass and the blank canvas gathers dust. One day, she decides, enough waiting. She picks up the brush, paints with her heart, and the first piece isn't perfect, but it's a hers. That moment, when she chooses action over delay, is when her real journey begins. We often think big decisions shape our lives, but small ones do too. Deciding to be kind when it's easier to be cold. Deciding to smile when life feels heavy. Deciding to believe in yourself even when no one else does. These daily decisions quietly create the life you live. You don't need to take giant leaps, just consistent, conscious steps in the right direction. Even in relationships, this truth applies. Sometimes we avoid making decisions out of fear, fear of confrontation, fear of loss, fear of vulnerability. But avoiding a decision often hurts more than facing one. If something isn't right, decide to speak up. If something is beautiful, decide to nurture it. The people who live with peace are those who make their decisions with honesty and stand by them with courage. One of the most powerful things you can ever do is to make a decision that honors your growth. Decide to stop complaining. Decide to stop doubting yourself. Decide to live a life that feels true to your soul. You might not have all the resources yet, but once you decide, life begins to open doors you didn't even know existed. Don't let fear disguise itself as patience. Don't let overthinking disguise itself as preparation. There's a difference between waiting for the right moment and wasting the moment you have. Every second you delay is a second you could have spent building your future. So today, make a firm decision, not tomorrow, not later, but now. Decide to take that first step toward your dream. Decide to rise again after failure. Decide to live intentionally, not accidentally. The power of decision is like a spark. It ignites your inner fire, and that fire lights your path forward. When you decide with faith instead of fear, everything starts to move. Your heart feels lighter, your actions become bolder, and opportunities begin to appear. Life begins to flow again. Remember this: hesitation keeps you in the same place, but decision moves you toward destiny. So, don't wait for the perfect moment, create it. Decide today. Because the difference between where you are and where you want to be is just one choice: the decision to begin. Turn pain into purpose. These words hold the power to completely change the way you see your life. Pain is something every single one of us experiences. No one escapes it. It comes in different forms: heartbreak, failure, rejection, loss, disappointment, or loneliness. But what separates people who grow stronger from those who stay broken is not the amount of pain they've faced, but what they do with that pain. You can either let it destroy you, or you can let it build you. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. In life, pain is not the enemy, it's the teacher. It's the fire that refines us, the storm that strengthens our roots. When we experience pain, our natural reaction is to avoid it, to hide from it, to wish it away. But if we look closer, pain always carries a message, a hidden lesson that can transform our life if we're willing to listen. The truth is, pain is not meant to stop you, it's meant to shape you. Think about how gold is purified. It's placed in fire, intense, burning, uncomfortable heat, not to destroy it, but to remove its impurities. Similarly, life's difficulties burn away our doubts, our ego, our fears, and reveal our true strength. The moments that break you are the same moments that build your character. Let's take an example. Imagine a young man who gets rejected from his dream job. He feels defeated, worthless, and angry. For weeks, he blames life for being unfair. But then one day he decides to stop asking, "Why me?" and starts asking, "What now?" That shift changes everything. He begins to work on himself, learning new skills, improving his mindset, and focusing on what he can control. Months later, he lands a better opportunity, not just a job, but a career that aligns with his true purpose. The rejection that once broke him became the redirection that built him. This is what turning pain into purpose means: using your struggle as the soil for your growth. Pain becomes meaningful when you use it to grow, to help others, to create something good out of what once hurt you. Some of the most inspiring people in history are those who turned their deepest wounds into their greatest contributions. They didn't allow pain to close their hearts, they allowed it to open their compassion. Think of a mother who loses her child and later starts a foundation to help other grieving parents. Think of a student who once failed an exam but now teaches others how to overcome failure. Think of someone who battled anxiety and now speaks to help others find peace. Their stories touch us because they remind us that pain doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of your purpose. Every challenge carries a choice: to stay stuck in suffering or to rise in strength. The beautiful thing about life is that even your darkest experiences can produce light if you let them. Your scars don't make you weak. They are proof that you survived. They show that you fell, but you also got back up. Every time you rise after pain, you become a living message of hope to someone else who is still hurting. There's a story about a cracked clay pot. Every day, the pot was used to carry water from the river to the house, but because of its crack, half the water leaked out along the way. The pot felt ashamed and told its owner, "I'm broken. I'm useless." The owner smiled and said, "Look at the path we walk every day." The pot saw beautiful flowers blooming along its side. The owner said, "You see, I knew about your crack. I planted seeds along your path and you watered them every day. Without your flaw, there would be no flowers." That's life. What you think is your weakness might be the very thing that brings beauty into the world. When you go through pain, remember that life never wastes a hurt. Every experience is molding you into someone wiser and more compassionate. The pain you're feeling now might one day become your gift to others. The suffering you endure today might one day be the story that gives someone else hope. Sometimes you go through things not because you deserve the pain, but because someone else will one day need your strength. Pain also reveals who we truly are. When everything is easy, we don't learn much about ourselves. But when things fall apart, that's when we discover our resilience. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Pain teaches us empathy, patience, and understanding. It reminds us that everyone is fighting battles we can't see, so we learn to be kind. Turning pain into purpose doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine. It means accepting that everything has a meaning, even the hard moments. It means finding light in the darkness, even if it's just a small spark at first. It means saying, "Yes, this hurts, but I won't let it define me. I'll use it to grow." Imagine a seed buried deep in the soil. To the seed, the darkness feels endless. It feels trapped, unseen, and forgotten. But slowly, that same darkness nourishes it, pushes it to grow roots, and finally, it breaks through the soil to see the light. The very pressure that felt unbearable was necessary for it to rise. The same happens to you. The pressure you feel is preparing you for your purpose. In your daily life, whenever pain comes, whether it's in relationships, career, or self-doubt. Remind yourself this is not the end. This is the process. Life isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. Every heartbreak, every loss, every failure is chiseling you into the person you are meant to become. There will be moments when it feels impossible to see the purpose behind the pain. In those moments, have faith that one day you will look back and say, "No, I understand why that had to happen." Because when you turn your pain into purpose, nothing is wasted, not a single tear, not a single struggle. So, instead of running from pain, face it. Instead of cursing it, learn from it. Instead of letting it close your heart, let it open your eyes. Because pain is not just a wound, it's a doorway. A doorway that leads you from who you were to who you are meant to be. And once you walk through it with courage and faith, you'll realize that your pain wasn't a curse at all. It was the path to your purpose. Let go of the old story. These words sound simple, but they carry the power to free you from years of pain, regret, and limitation. Most of us live our lives repeating the same story in our minds. Stories of what went wrong, who hurt us, what we lost, and why things didn't work out. We replay them like an old movie, again and again, until they become part of our identity. We begin to say, "This is just who I am," or "This is how life has always been for me." But the truth is, your past is not your identity. It is only your history. It was never meant to define your future. It was meant to prepare you for it. Letting go of the old story means freeing yourself from the weight of yesterday. It means understanding that you can't rewrite the past, but you can start a new chapter anytime you choose. Many people stay stuck because they keep reading the same chapter over and over again. They let old pain become their present truth. But life is like a book. No matter how sad or painful one chapter was, the story only continues if you turn the page. Think about it. You can't drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. If you keep looking back, you'll miss the road ahead. The same happens in life. When your attention is fixed on what's behind you, the betrayal, the failure, the missed chances, you stop seeing the opportunities waiting in front of you. You become a prisoner of your own memory. The only way to move forward is to forgive the past, release it, and make peace with it. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending that what happened was okay. It means choosing peace over pain. It means saying, "This happened. It hurt, it changed me, but it will not control me anymore." Forgiveness is not about excusing someone's behavior. It's about freeing yourself from being chained to it. Let's take an example. Imagine you're holding a heavy rock in your hand. You carry it everywhere, to work, to dinner, to sleep. Over time, your arm begins to ache. The rock represents your old story, the grudges, regrets, and disappointments you carry. The longer you hold on, the heavier it feels. But the moment you decide to drop it, you feel lighter instantly. The situation didn't change. You changed by letting go. Life feels lighter when you stop carrying yesterday's weight. Many people live stuck in the "if only" mindset. If only I had made a different choice. If only they hadn't hurt me. If only I had another chance. But the truth is, you can't change the past, and you don't need to. Every "if only" moment taught you something that shaped who you are today. Those mistakes, losses, and heartbreaks all carried lessons that were essential for your growth. The purpose of pain is not to punish you but to teach you. Once you've learned the lesson, you don't need to carry the story anymore. I once met a man who said he couldn't move on from a failure that happened years ago. He started a business that didn't succeed, and ever since, he told everyone, "I'm just unlucky." That story became his identity. Every new opportunity he received, he approached with fear, expecting failure. His past had become his prison. When I asked him what would happen if he told himself a different story, that he wasn't unlucky but experienced, his entire face changed. He smiled and said, "Maybe I can try again." And he did. His new story gave him permission to start again. And this time, he succeeded. That's the power of rewriting your story. You can't change the facts of your past, but you can change the meaning you give them. Maybe the person who left didn't break you. Maybe they taught you independence. Maybe the failure didn't end your dream. Maybe it redirected you to something better. Maybe the pain didn't destroy you. Maybe it introduced you to your strength. The moment you change the story, you change your life. Every day you wake up, you have a choice to repeat the old story or to write a new one. The old story keeps you small, the new story sets you free. You can say, "I've always been unlucky in love." Or you can say, "I've learned what love truly means." You can say, "I always fail." Or you can say, "I'm learning and improving every time." Words are powerful. The way you speak about your life becomes the way you experience it. Look at nature. Every season lets go of the old to make space for the new. Trees shed their leaves not because they hate them, but because they know it's time for renewal. The branches may look bare for a while, but soon new life grows again. You too must let go of old emotions, old grudges, and old versions of yourself to make space for the person you are becoming. Sometimes, holding on feels safer than letting go because the old story is familiar. Even if it hurts, at least it's known. The unknown feels scary, but growth only happens in the unknown. When you release the old story, you create space for something new, new people, new opportunities, new joy. Life can't fill your hands with blessings if you're still holding on to yesterday's pain. Think about someone who went through heartbreak. In the beginning, it feels impossible to imagine happiness again. The pain feels endless. But slowly, as they start to heal, they realize that the heartbreak wasn't the end of their life. It was the end of a chapter. It pushed them to discover self-love, to find strength they didn't know they had. One day, they meet someone who values them deeply, and they finally understand why the old story had to end. Sometimes what you lose clears the path for what you truly deserve. Letting go of the old story is not about erasing your past. It's about choosing to live fully in the present. It's about saying, "I'm not defined by what happened to me. I'm defined by how I rise from it." Your past is a place of reference, not residence. It's a lesson, not a life sentence. So take a deep breath and release it. Whatever has been weighing you down, the regret, the shame, the anger, it's time to set it free. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made when you didn't know better. Thank the past for its lessons and then walk away. You deserve peace more than you deserve punishment. Every sunrise gives you a new page to write on. Don't let yesterday's story fill today's chapter. You are not your past. You are the author of your present and the creator of your future. When you finally let go of the old story, you will realize you were never broken. You were only being rewritten into someone stronger, wiser, and more beautiful than before. Start small, but start today. So often, people wait for the perfect time to begin, the perfect mood, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. Life never comes with a ready signal. The people who achieve real transformation are not those who wait for inspiration to strike. They are the ones who take the first small step, even when they don't feel ready. Every great change, every big success, every fulfilled dream begins with one small, humble action. We live in a world where everyone wants to start big, big dreams, big results, big success. But greatness never begins that way. It begins quietly, with a small step that no one notices. Think of a seed. It's tiny, fragile, almost invisible to the eye. But that small seed holds within it the potential to become a massive tree. If you plant it, nurture it, and give it sunlight, it grows. If you keep waiting to plant it, because you're afraid it won't grow, it will remain just a seed forever. The same applies to your dreams and goals. Many people don't start because they overthink. They say, "What if I fail?" Or "What if things don't work out?" But what if they do? What if that small step you take today becomes the reason your life changes completely? You won't know until you try. Taking that first step is like lighting a small candle in the dark. It may not brighten the whole room immediately, but it's enough to guide your next few steps. And once you start walking, the light grows brighter. I remember once someone asked me, "How do I become consistent?" I said, "By starting before you feel ready." The first day you go to the gym, you might not see any change. The first week you wake up early, it may feel useless. The first month you start saving money, the amount might look small. But don't underestimate small beginnings. They are the foundation of big victories. Drops of water make the ocean, and bricks make a house. Likewise, tiny efforts build massive transformation. Let's take an example from daily life. Imagine someone who wants to get healthy. They keep watching videos, reading about diet plans, and telling themselves they'll start next week. Months pass, and nothing changes. Then one day, they decide to take a walk, just 10 minutes. The next day, they walk again, this time for 15 minutes. Slowly, it becomes a habit. Within months, that small decision to walk becomes a life-changing commitment to health. All it took was one small beginning. Or think of someone who wants to start a business. They dream of launching something big but get stuck because they think they need more resources or more knowledge. Then they meet someone who started selling handmade candles from home with no big setup, no fancy equipment, just a simple idea and the courage to begin. That small effort grows into something extraordinary. The lesson: you don't have to start big, you just have to start. When we delay action, we often convince ourselves that we're preparing. But sometimes, preparation becomes procrastination. You can't steer a parked car. Movement, no matter how small, creates momentum. Once you start rolling, life begins to open new doors. It's like climbing a staircase. You can't see the entire staircase from the bottom, but when you take the first step, the next one appears. Life works the same way. You won't have the entire plan figured out at the beginning, but if you trust the process and keep moving, the path will unfold. There's a beautiful quote that says, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." Think of every great person you admire. They all began with uncertainty. Steve Jobs started in a garage. J.K. Rowling wrote her first book in a small cafe while struggling financially. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. What made them different wasn't luck, it was persistence. They didn't wait for the perfect time, they created it by taking small, consistent steps. Starting small also teaches humility. It reminds you that progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. Even if your steps are small, if you're walking in the right direction, you're still moving forward. Think of a baby learning to walk. They stumble, fall, and get up again, but every fall brings them closer to balance. They don't stop just because they fall. They keep going because walking is worth it. Likewise, when you start something new, you will stumble. You will make mistakes. But those mistakes are not failures, they are signs of growth. Sometimes small beginnings are disguised blessings. They teach you discipline, patience, and resilience. When you start small, you learn to value every step, every effort, every little win. You learn to appreciate the journey instead of rushing toward the destination. Life is not about giant leaps. It's about steady, meaningful progress. The mountain climber reaches the top not in one jump, but in thousands of small, determined steps. You might think, but what if people don't notice my effort? Don't worry. The world may not see your progress now, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Flowers don't bloom immediately after planting. They grow silently beneath the soil first, building roots that no one can see. The roots are what make the flower strong enough to rise and bloom. In the same way, your early efforts are your roots. No one may see them now, but one day, your growth will be too visible to ignore. Starting small doesn't mean thinking small. It means being wise enough to build your foundation first. When you take small, consistent steps every day, you train your mind to believe in progress. You start to see change not as a distant dream, but as a daily possibility. Over time, the compound effect of those small efforts becomes massive. So, start today. Don't wait for confidence. Confidence comes after you begin. Don't wait for clarity. Clarity comes when you walk the path. Don't wait for support. Support appears when you prove your commitment. Take that first step, even if your legs shake. Start writing that book. Make that call. Take that class. Forgive that person. Go for that walk. Whatever your next step is, take it now. Remember, the seed you plant today may not bear fruit tomorrow, but it will one day. And when it does, you'll look back and realize that the small step you took on an ordinary day was actually the moment your extraordinary life began. Every sunrise is an invitation to start again, fresh, renewed, and full of possibility. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start small, but start today, because every big dream begins with a single, brave step.